Hello and welcome to WebTexTube. In this video, I will implement Redux to one of my application. In the previous video, I explained the basics of Redux. If you don't know the basics of Redux, then I highly recommend you to watch my previous video and then jump onto this video. So let's see which application we are working on today. As you can see, I have a very small application, the very simple application where I can add item, I can remove item, and when I click the order now button, I get a modal. So when I click on the proceed, it will go to the next page, which I haven't declared already. When I go back, it will go back to the previous state. Okay, so at this point I am managing the state inside the component. As you can see, I have declared the state inside the component. But let's say I'm implementing or using Redux in our application, which is not good for a small application like that, because Redux is a kind of complex architecture. But if you have a larger application where you have a complex architecture, at that point you can use Redux. But a small application like this, it's best to use to not use Redux in the application. Okay, so as I explained Redux basics already in the previous video, I will not go through the basics, so I will just implement Redux in our application. First, I have to choose a place where I can create a store. For that, as I told in the last video, that the best place is to declare the store in the root level of our application. Okay, so the index.js file, that file is the perfect place to initialize the store. Okay, so to initialize the store, we have to very first we have to install the Redux library in our application. So the command will be npm I or install -- save Redux. Okay, I did that already, so I'm not doing that again. But if you haven't done that, so you can do that by using that command. Okay, and after you install, you need to import a method from the Redux library. Okay, and the method is called create store. Okay, and then I will declare a variable called store. You can name it anything, but it's convention that you use a store, so if someone reading your code, they know what's going on. Okay, in the create store method, as you can see, it asking for a reducer, which I haven't declared yet. So let's declare the reducer first. In the source folder, I will create a folder called reducer, and inside that folder I will create a file called reducer.js, and in that file I will create a function called reducer, because we know that reducer is a pure function, so we have to declare the function, which will take an state and an action as an argument, which will then return the state. Finally, sorry, there's a typo. Okay, and finally we will export the reducer as a default, so we can import this reducer in our in the index.js file. Okay, so let's declare that first. Import reducer and call that inside as an argument inside our create store method. Okay, so back to the reducer. As you can see, a reducer take a state, so we have to declare the state inside this reducer file. So let's declare the state. I will name it as initial state, is up to you. And to test it, I will just pass a dummy value here. and then finally I have to declare it as a default value. So if so we forget to pass the state sometime I mean if any times if we don't pass any state in any of our method, then it will return undefined. Okay, so the best thing would be to pass that initial state as a default argument or default parameter of the state argument, sorry. Okay, so now if we hit save, okay, so but I need to verify that we have successfully created the store by calling the store.getState method, and if we save that, as you can see, we are getting an object. So if you click on it, as you can see, we are getting a num of 0. So our store is working. So as I said in the previous video, that Redux is an independent library. So in order to work with Redux in our React application, we have to install another library in our application. Again, I have installed it already, but just to show you how to install that, it's called react-redux. Okay, I have installed it already. So from there I have to import a component, a higher order component, basically from react-redux. Okay, so the higher order component is called the provider. Remember, is a capital, so don't pass the smaller case. Okay, so this is the higher order component which we have to wrap our app component with it, so then our app component will get access to the store. So provider component will inject the store excuse me, into our app component, which we'll see now. Provider, oh sorry, okay, and the provider component will take a props called store, where we have to pass our actual store. Okay, so that's the works here is done in the index.js file. So all we have to do is we need to call another function from the react-redux library where we want to get access to the store. Okay, so let's say we need to get access to the state, not from here. We will get rid of that very soon. So basically we will declare all the state in the store. So let's do that first, then I will show you. Okay, let's copy that. So this is our store, I mean reducer. So store hold the reducer or multiple reducer. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so we have basically forgot to okay, so there is a typo here, so it should be state object. Okay, and then finally const reducer returning state. So basically we have declared a state inside the initial state which is not we want, so that will be an object. Okay, so as you can see it's working. Okay, so let's get rid of that state from the component. Okay, so now to get access to the state from the store, we have to import a higher order function from that inside in the burger builder component. Import something from react-redux. Okay, and the function is called the connect function, which is a high order function. Okay, so this function, we have to declare the end of the component, let's say, where we are actually exporting. So let's declare, then I will explain roughly, because I have declared in the previous video, explained in the previous video. Okay, so the connect function is a higher order function. So inside that argument of the connect function, we will pass some function. That function basically we'll pass those functions. We'll declare here in a few minutes. We'll pass it to the connect function, and the connect function will execute and return will return another function, which will take the burger builder component as an argument. Okay, at this point I have another high order function which is basically handle the error, but end of the day it returns the component. Okay, so connect function will return another function which will take this burger builder component as an argument. Okay, so let's declare the function I was speaking of, map state to props. Okay, it's a naming convention, but you can name it anything, but it's better to stick with the naming convention, so anybody reading your code, they will know what's going on. Okay, so this function will return an object where this function, what it does, it basically map all the state from the reducer, as you can see in the initial state, whichever state we want to access. This function will map this state as a props inside our burger builder component. So let me show you. So let's say I want to get access to that ingredients property from that from the state object. Okay, so for that I have to I don't need to name it as the same name as the property of reducer, but you can name it anything. I will just stick to the same name. Okay, so I will have to call state dot ingredients. So what is it doing here? It is basically calling the state dot ingredients from the reducer and mapping as a props. So as a mapping as a props ingredients inside our burger builder component. So whenever we calling props dot ingredient, we will get access to this state dot ingredients that all this map state to props does. So we have to pass that inside our connect function. Okay, as you can see, is a function. We are passing this function as an argument of connect function, so that's why it's a high order function. It takes function as an argument and return another function. Okay, so let's understand the project behind the scene, what's going on. So let's say whenever we click on this button, if we click on the button, I will as you can see, still working, but whatever it's doing, whenever clicking on the button, it just updating the state. At this point it will update from the reducer, but whenever let's say we are clicking on the mid button, then it will increment the number by 1, and then the it will display in the component and in the UI. Okay, so that's all the that's basically what's going on behind the scene. Okay, so now we should be able to get access to that ingredients from the state. So at this point, if we hit save, we'll get some error because all the we have get rid of the state, and as you can see, the whole application, whole component is depending on the state. So we have to change it, but to change it, before that I have to call some of the state from the reducer. Okay, so that will basically take some time. I will get back whenever it's finished. Okay, so I have call all the ingredients whatever I need in this component, and I have mapped to that state. Okay, so let's check if we getting the value from our store. Okay, for that I have to basically change the we have to get rid of that whenever we calling that state. Okay, so first let's get rid of all the function I declared. So all of this function is basically depend on the state which no longer exists. Okay, and in the return statement we have to now change the state from props, because we do not have any state. Instead we're getting as a props from the store. Okay, so that will be props and props That's quite lots of work, so I will get back whenever it's finished. Okay, now we have finished with that, so let's hit save, and we will get some errors because we haven't passed. As you can see, we get some error already. Let's see what is it saying. Okay, burger builder cannot read property of null prices. Okay, cannot get setting of prices. Okay, so which number? That is 123. 23. The state, oh, we forgot to change that. Okay, okay, 153. Topping state dot ingredients. State, okay, that's no longer a state, should be props. Prices, I thought I changed all of them. I basically forgot these two property. Okay, sorry for that. As you can see, our app is working now, but our target was, let's see, we have console.log somewhere. We haven't. Let's console.log, where we want to this props.ingredients. Let's see, we are getting the ingredients from the store, and as you can see 115. Okay, as you can see, we're getting the state. So let's get to the VS Code 115. We are getting the ingredients from the store, so that basically working. Okay, so at this point we are basically getting all the state we have declared, let's say, in this method, in the map state to props. All the state or property we have declared inside this function, we are basically getting it from the reducer. Okay, so that means reducer is up and running. Now we not only want to get the state from the reducer, I mean from the store, we also want to update it. Okay, to update that, we have to create another function which is called map dispatch to props. Okay, and that will get a dispatch function as an argument, as I explained to the last video. The connect function, okay, let me declare it first, then I will explain. It will return an object where we will declare some function here, but we have to pass that to the connect function map dispatch to props. Okay, so whenever the connect function is executing, it will pass the dispatch function in dispatch function into this map dispatch to props function, and then we can use or call the dispatch function to send some action. Okay, so that all the connect function does. Okay, so at this point we have declared some function here, as you can see. So all of this function was doing some action depending on the it was basically updating the state which was declared inside the state, inside the component, but the state here is no longer there anymore. So that means we have to we cannot change any value inside the component. We have to change the value from the store, and to do that we basically take the help of this map dispatch to props, map dispatch to props, that will and that method will basically call the dispatch function, then we'll send some action to the store. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So my first function here is called the navbar handler, which I believe is the okay, so as you can see, I'm clicking on the hamburger menu, nothing appears. So that function is basically handle that. So whenever I click on that hamburger menu, a side drawer will appear. Okay, and then okay, let's declare the function first. So I will name it just the same name, navbar handler. Okay, navbar handler, which will execute an arrow function, which will then call that dispatch function, which will then create an action. Okay, and that action we will basically use that type only for that function. Okay, and I will name it, let's say it's in a sidebar, so I will name it toggle sidebar. Sorry, I basically wanted to write it as a uppercase, toggle sidebar. All right, so what is it doing? Whenever the connect function is executing, the connect function will pass the dispatch function, as I said before. It will pass the dispatch function inside that map dispatch to props, which will then return an object where we have a key of navbar handler, and we have a corresponding value, which is a function basically triggering to create an action. Okay, so this navbar handler will pass to that burger builder component as a props. So whenever previously, as you can see in the side drawer, we will basically calling that function as it was declared in that class, or the class component, but we are no longer doing that here. We have to call that as a props, because we are getting that function as a props inside our burger builder component. Okay, and we have, as you can see, we have another navbar handler. Okay, so props.navbar handler, and let's see if it's working. Okay, as you can see, is okay. It shouldn't work, because why? We haven't declared any logic in our reducer. So we are passing toggle sidebar as an action into our reducer. So reducer is getting the that action from the burger builder component as an action object, and then we have to declare that logic. So I'm saying whenever you're getting an action type toggle sidebar, at that point you want to basically return, sorry, should be lowercase, return an object where you have to copy the state first. Again, we cannot update the we have to update the state immutable way. We cannot mutate the state. Okay, so first we are copying the state, and then we are overwriting that show model props. As you can see, burger builder inside that navbar handler is just basically tweaking the value show model. So in the reducer, we have to manipulate that show model value. So show model, I will set basically opposite of the current value. So let's say our application just started, and at this point show model is false. So whenever we click on the hamburger menu, then this as you can see, whenever the this function, this navbar handler this creep property will then called, which will then call this arrow function, then which will call the dispatch function, which will eventually send this action to the reducer, and it will send the toggle sidebar into our reducer, which will then causing that changes. Okay, so it will basically setting the value whichever the current value is. So at this point it's false, so whenever it's sending an action called toggle sidebar, it will set the value opposite. Let's see if it's working. Okay, we might get some error. Now as you can see, our logic is working. Okay. Sorry. Okay, at this point, if we click on the sidebar, as you can see, both of them are working. Okay, so whenever I click on the hamburger menu, and I have declared the same function inside the backdrop at the back, so whenever clicking on the backdrop, as you can see, both of them gone. So our first function is working. So that's how you basically send an action request to the store to trigger an update to the state or the store. Okay, so we have to take help of this map dispatch to props. Okay, so first method here is done, which is the navbar handler. So let's get rid of that. So let's the next is the add ingredients. So what it does, as you can see in our apps, we got a console here, which we have a couple of buttons. So whenever we click on that button, and ingredients will add to this to the burger builder. Okay, so what this does at the behind the scene, whenever we click on the more, let's say salad, we go to the store, because we do not have the state inside the component anymore. As you can see, we have the ingredients. So whenever we clicking on the salad button, the add salad button, it will increment the value by 1. So whenever it will increment 0 to 1, and then at this point the salad one salad will add to this burger. That's all it does. Okay, so let's first send that action from that map dispatch to props function. Okay, so let's call it add ingredients. We'll call an arrow function, eventually call an dispatch function, which will send an action type ingredients. Okay, so whenever this function we are sending that action, we have to define the logic inside our reducer. So let's declare it first. If action dot type equal add ingredients. At this point, what we want to do, we as you can see, if we look at the ingredients, this to declare this logic, we have to take it will take a bit longer. Just stay with me. As you can see, we got this ingredients object inside we have couple of property key value pair, which is our main focus to update this value. Let's say it's 0 at this point, so we want to, whenever we click on that event handler, it will increment 1 or 2 as many times we click. Okay, so our main focus, how we can update the value immutable way. Okay, so to do that, we have to get the value first. Okay, to get the value, I have to, let's take a variable, we name it old ingredients, let's say, and then we will basically, okay, here's one more thing. As you can see, whenever we calling that add ingredients, which we are passing to build controls in the add function, as you can see, add ingredients. So this will no longer just add ingredients, it will pass and props. So let's see what happening inside the build controls component. Okay, here's the build controls component. As you can see, we are getting props.add in this component, and we are passing the passing as an add in our build control component. So that is basically the whole at this point, the whole this two button and the label. Okay, so that is one build, that is called build control. Okay, so that is one build control. Okay, so 4 of them included inside that build controls method. Okay, and inside that build control component, I will show you now. Okay, as you can see, we have a button, so that's the button over there, and it's basically calling that props.add or props.remove. Let's say we are calling that props.add, which will call that add function, this props.add, and as you can see over here, it basically passing an argument. Okay, so what it is passing, as you can see in the top of our top level of our component, as you can see, we got an array. Okay, an array of object. We got bunch of 4 of the object. Each of the object has a label property where we have passed the label, which is, as you can see, the uppercase and lowercase. So the idea here is we are passing the label in that label here is basically maybe h3 tag, and we are passing that button we are passing that type inside our add function as an argument, as you can see, control.type. So we are doing a loop over here using array.map method. Okay, and we are passing that control.type, which basically passing that salad string. Okay, so we are taking that string inside our props.add, which is eventually as you can see in the add button. So whenever you're calling that function, it will take that argument. Okay, so control.type, it will pass, let's say we are clicking on meat, let's say. So whenever we're clicking on meat, it will pass that meat string inside our add function, which will basically pass into that add function, add ingredients. So that means our add ingredients is also getting an argument. Okay, so for that, how we can pass that argument, we need to pass that argument over here. Let's say we are passing item. Okay, so, and as I said, we are no longer, we are not only passing the type, we can also pass a value. Okay, so let's pass the value then, which I will just pass an item. Okay, it is giving us an error because we haven't declared the comma. Okay, at this point we are basically passing that item inside our add ingredients function, and we are passing that value inside the reducer. So in the reducer, we are getting that we are getting the value. Okay, so we can use, let's say, So we can use this value salad or meat, we can use that string to pull the value, current value of our reducer. Let's say we are sending a request to update the meat value. Okay, so then we are taking that meat string, so we can pull that meat value, the current meat value. Okay, so let's do that here. All ingredients, which we, as you can see, we are getting the state as an initially state as a state. So what will we do? State sorry, we have to call that state dot ingredients. Then we are passing action dot value. Okay, so at this point the all ingredients is the current reading from whichever action we are sending. Okay, it could be meat, salad, cheese, bacon, anything. It will just pull the value from the state. That's all it does. Okay, so now we have that value, and look at the app. Looking at the app, whenever we click on the button, we not only want to update the toppings, we also want to update the price. Okay, as you can see, currently is £4 or $4 to let's say, but sorry. So as you can see in the reducer, the current value is 4 by default, so we need to update the price as well. Okay, and so for that, let's say call it all price state dot price. So then it will pull the current price value from the state. Okay, now we have the value. So let's say add ingredients means we need to update the value by incrementing, let's say 0 to 1, 1 to 2. Okay, so for that, let's say we are just let's name it new value. Let's declare it as it const should be working. Okay, new value should be all ingredients plus 1, or you can write plus plus. Okay, so that basically do the same thing. Okay, and also const price would be all price plus plus. Okay, and then as I said, I cannot I have to update the state immutably, so we have to call all of these state first, then I have to update the ingredients, the price and the ingredients. But before that, I have to pull those value back, let's say the ingredients and the ingredients at this point, because as you can see, ingredients is the nested object, is not the direct child of the initial state, is the nested inside inside the state. So we have to update the value first. So for that, I have to let's say new ingredients. That makes sense. New ingredients, where we will, let's say, state dot ingredients. Okay, and then what we are doing, we are just passing the updated ingredients inside that new ingredients. Okay, so for that, let's call new ingredients. So new ingredients is the object, as you can see, ingredients, this object. So we can so at this point, which value we want to update. Okay, so again, we can take help of the action.value, which we have declared somewhere, as you can see, action.value. So we can take help of the value, action.value, sorry, I think, yes, action.value equal new value, I guess. Yes, as you can see, new value is all ingredients plus plus. Okay, so new value. Okay, so at this point, our ingredients object is done. So now we can finally call that return statement, where we have to copy that whole state first, and then we are overwriting that ingredients object. Okay, let's pass new ingredients, and finally the price. Okay, and finally we are returning the entire state. So at this point it should be working if I haven't do any mistake. So let's save the burger builder as well, and let's test it. Okay, nothing happening. Let's see if we're getting an error. Okay, let's see if have we passed that method inside that build controls. Okay, add ingredients. Okay, this dot props dot add ingredients. So okay, that looks like we have sent, let's see, the add ingredients value item into the reducer. Excuse me. Add ingredients action dot value, all ingredients action dot value, all price new value incrementing, price is also incrementing. Okay, hang on a second, we have done something wrong here, but okay, we'll come back later on, but let's see why our state is not updating. New ingredients, we are copying the entire ingredient state, the object, then we are calling that the appropriate or the exact property to new value, and let's get rid of that. Return state ingredients. Okay, so we have copied the entire state first when we have passed the new value which we want to override, but we haven't passed which property or which key we want to override. So for that we have to pass the ingredients, the property name first, then we can change it. So let's say this is price, should be new price. Okay, we are passing new price, and let's see if it's working. At this point it should be working. As you can see, we got something, we got an update. As you can see, we're updating, but our value never update. What is the reason behind it? Okay, let's change it to +1. As you can see, it's working. So okay, whatever we're adding is basically working. The less doesn't work, we haven't passed anything yet. Okay, but as you can see, our price is updating by one value of 1, so we don't want that. We have a, I think, over the burger builder, yes, so we have a, let's say, an object of the price. Okay, so for each item we have a specific price, so we also need to pass that item or the value to that store as well. So at this point we are sending as a value. Okay, so value is an item, so let's say we need to pass multiple values. So at this point we can, as a convention, we can name it as a payload, which will then a object where we want to pass, let's say ingredients for sake of arguments. Okay, ingredients will be the item, and let's say price will be we are calling that object from here. Okay, as you can see, we are calling the price ingredients, and let's name it price ingredients. Okay, so camel case ingredients price, we're calling the price ingredients, and we are passing that item, so it will pass the value of the price automatically depending on the item. So we are no longer passing just a simple value, we are passing as a payload. So now we have to be changed payload.ingredients payload.price. So let's go to the reducer. So at ingredients should be action.payload dot ingredients at this time. Okay, and the, let's say we are copying the old price here. The new price will be old price plus action.payload dot price. So let's see if it's working. Okay, we got some error here. As it says, reducer cannot read the proper ingredients. Okay, ingredients state.ingredients. Okay, state.ingredients, whatever we, okay, we have forget to save that. Okay, so now if we, as you can see, we update the price all right, but as you can see, we got nothing here. So there's somehow ingredients dot, okay, payload dot ingredients reducer, okay, action dot payload dot ingredients. So action dot type dot payload dot ingredients. So what is going on here? Okay, all right, so we have passed the action dot value here, so that shouldn't be the value anymore. Payload dot ingredients. As you can see, is working. We are getting the value bacon. As you can see, bacon. We're getting the price as well. Okay, random price depending on the item. Okay, so that's basically working. All right, so add is done. So whatever is left is the remove functionality over here. As you can see, we got here add and remove. So that basically the same logic. Instead, we will just decrement by 1. So what I can do into the map dispatch to props, we will declare another, let's call it remove ingredients, which will an arrow function. Let's call dispatch remove ingredients. Okay, and of course we have to pass the same payload. Okay, let's payload should be an object. Okay, so here we have to pass the ingredients item, and let's say the should be a price, I guess. So we also want to decrement by the price. Okay, so that will be the price ingredients. I'm waiting for the suggestion. As you can see, price ingredients object, and we are passing that item to a extract the exact item. So it will be the same logic into the reducer. So instead of writing that again, I will just copy that to save some time. Action.type when it's remove ingredients. Alright, at this point I want to copy that entire logic. Copy that, just paste it over here, and we only want to change the decrement logic here. As you can see, it's adding 1, so we are just changing it to minus. Okay, and price should be we need to decrement that as well. So let's see if it's working. We can add item. Let's see if we can remove item. We cannot remove item. Why? I know why. In burger builder we forgot to save that as well, and we also forgot to remove ingredients as a props dot remove ingredients. Okay, as a camel case, let's see, we have ingredients. Okay, item is not defined. Burger builder, line 183. Okay, what is it saying? Item. Obviously we forgot to pass the item as an argument inside our function. Alright, let's see if we reload the app. Okay, we can add item. Okay, we are not getting an error, but it's not basically removing anything. Remove ingredients. Alright, I know why. Okay, I basically missed typing as a typo. Ingredients. So in the future, let's say, as you can see, we're having some problem regarding to the misspelling. Okay, but in future you will see that basically for that type, the action, let's say we are passing the type, so for that we will create another file where we will declare that all the action as a key value pair in another file, then we will import into our file. So I will do that in another video, as this video is it's way too longer, so I will not do that here. Let's see if it's working. As you can see, we can update the value. I mean, we can remove the value. Okay, so let's remove bacon from here. As you can see, bacon is gone. Let's remove the cheese. As you can see, cheese is gone. So remove is working as well. Okay, so next is so let's see that add and remove is done. Okay, so we can get rid of those. So now is complete order. Okay, so as you can see, is only updating the place order to true. Okay, so that is quite straightforward. Let's do that then. Okay, so complete order. Let's declare another property. Let's call it complete order. order. That's all we need to pass. I have declared a semicolon. Alright, so complete order, place order, we have to declare it as a props.complete order. Save it and go to the reducer. As you can see, our if-else statement is getting quite longer, so at this point we can use the switch statement. So then we can use the case handler. So let's call the there's nothing wrong with using the if-else condition, but switch statement is quite handy at this point, in my opinion. Action.type, okay, and then we have to declare a case where we will just copy that toggle okay, so it should be case where we will copy that return statement. Okay. At this point, we don't when you will be working with the switch statement in the vanilla JavaScript, you have to pass the break keywords. Here we do not need to declare the break because we are returning from the state. So whenever this statement is executing, it will exit from that case. Okay, so for that we do not need to declare the break statement over here. So, okay, so we can get rid of that if statement, and then we can declare another case. At this point it should be add ingredients. Alright, and then we have to take that entire logic inside the case statement. Okay, and there's another case. Let's get rid of that statement first, which will be remove ingredients. Where we have to take the enter logic. Alright, and then alright, so at this point, so if any of them, okay, hang on a second, what's going on? Okay, so in the switch case statement we cannot use const or let. Okay, so we have to use the var declaration here. So const or let, it doesn't work here. Okay, so just replace those const or let to var, so that means it's a variable. Okay, so same goes here, var okay, so we should get rid of that error. Okay, so as you can see, we got bunch of different cases. Okay, so let's say if we trigger an update and at this point none of the case executed, or none of the case became true, at this point the switch statement will then run the default statement. Okay, so for that we have to declare the default statement here, where we have to pass the return. So if none of none of them return true, then it will return the state as a default. Okay, and as I said, I will add another case which is I think complete order. Yeah, complete order, where as you can see in the burger builder, we are simply updating the place order value. Okay, so uppercase, return an object, copy the entry state first, and then I think it's place order. Yes, place order. So we will take the value of state dot place order, right opposite. Okay, so let's see if it works. So the complete order is basically passing to that complete order, complete order. Okay, let's see where. Okay, in the build controls we are passing the complete order. In the place order, instead of build controls, so build controls then take the place order, props.place order. Okay, on click is order now. So whenever I click the order now, we should return something. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, as you can see, we got some error here. Is saying action may not have an undefined type property, you have misspelled. Okay, it's saying that I have mistyped the action property, action complete order. Okay, complete order case, let's see, complete order, we write that all right, but place order is basically okay, case complete order, and we have passed complete order. Oh, okay, I got it. So I basically by mistake I have passed the action instead of type, that's why it was getting an error. Alright, so let's reload the app and see if it's working. Let's add some ingredients, and as you can see, it is working. Okay, so as you can see, it's working, and none of them. Okay, the proceed button is working already. So let's go to the burger builder and get rid of that function. So now we have toggle backdrop. Okay, so it's basically updating the place order. Let's see if we're doing that in any of that logic. Place order, show model. Okay, we are doing that already. Okay, so let's see. Okay, as you can see, we got another function which is toggle backdrop. So what is doing is basically updating the place order value in the state, and what it does, as you can see, when we add ingredients, and as you can see, we got a backdrop at the back. So as you can see, I'm clicking on it, but nothing happens. So what I want here, so whenever I'm clicking on the backdrop, the model and the backdrop will basically return false. So both of them will be gone. Okay, so for that, as you can see, I have to only return the place order value to false. So we can set the opposite. So let's declare in the property first. So I will name it toggle backdrop, where call the dispatch function. Let's pass the value of toggle backdrop. Okay, and it's called the toggle backdrop here somewhere. Okay, we are passing toggle backdrop here as a props here. Okay, let's save it. Excuse me. Case toggle backdrop, where we have to return an object, copy the state first, and backdrop is basically sending the placeholder value. Place order, I'm setting right opposite state dot placeholder. Okay, and at this point it should be working. Let's see that. Okay, and as you can see, it's going out. So whenever I click the backdrop and the model appears, so I'm clicking on the backdrop, it's going out. So that's another function done from the burger builder component. And payment is the same, same logic, but at this point it's just placing updating the complete order value, complete order. Okay, so place order, I guess, place order, an arrow function, dispatch, type, let's say complete order, so it makes sense. And it's place order, so place order here somewhere, place order. Okay, I think this complete order, payment, okay, so that is called payment. I mistyped that, payment. So let's get rid of that, payment. And we need to pass the payment method as a props.payment, right? So we are sending the payment function as a complete order type. So another case complete order, where we have to return state, and it basically changing the value of complete order from the state. So complete order state dot complete order. Okay, so let's see what complete order does whenever it changes the value. But let's see. Okay, but let's see where the value is passed, which button is executing the payment. Okay, we are passing the payment into that order summary component as a complete order. So order summary here somewhere, order summary as a complete order. So complete order, props.complete order here somewhere, props.complete order. Okay, order summary, complete order. Button frosted. Okay, as you can see, I think this is the button proceed, where as you can see, is going to the checkout component. All right, so that means when I click on the order now and click the proceed button, as you can see, is going to the checkout page or checkout component. So for that, I basically don't need that logic here, so I can do that without updating the store. Okay, so order summary, we no longer need to pass that function. Okay, so and let's see which else is payment is gone. And I was working with the session storage previously to pass those values back and forth. Okay, so now we have order message. It basically update the value of confirmation. Okay, so order message, order message. Okay, sorry, order message dispatch type, order message, let's call it order message. Okay, order message, what it does, it update the confirmation to true. Okay, so order message to the reducer, order message, it will return state and confirmation, I believe, state dot confirmation. Okay, confirmation. So let's see where we are passing it. Order message here somewhere, order message, posted complete order. As you can see, we are passing the order message in as a showback props to that modal. Okay, so modal, and if you go to the modal, here we have modal. Okay, show back. Okay, so whenever the show back, let's see, show back, so whenever clicking on that, is basically passing to that mode backdrop component as a click props. So whenever we're clicking on the backdrop, it basically change the value of the store. So again, I basically mistyped that function, so we do not need to declare the function anymore. So we are using the navbar handler, or let's say the toggle backdrop for that. So we don't need to send that to the store. Okay, and finally all the method has been declared. So as you can see, our component looks like much clearer. We do not need to declare any state. Okay, reducer or the store does that for us. So let's get rid of that order message from the reducer. Okay, okay, right, let's reload the app. Oh, sorry. At this point, as you can see, all of our function basically works. So if we go back, so this button we need to do something about it, but proceed is working already. So let's see how we can do that. Do the go back, where let's go to the build controls, where we're passing that go back. Okay, let's see, that is whenever we're clicking so when we, so it is the go back button is basically in the order, in the modal, where we basically pass the order summary component. So let's go to the go back button first. It should be in the order summary, and we found go back. So it is getting the function as a click back from the parent component. So it should be in the burger builder. Okay, we are passing click back. Burger builder order summary click back is using the same function toggle backdrop, which I believe I declared already. Toggle backdrop, which is click back. So what it does, it basically does the same function as the toggle backdrop. Okay, as you can see, toggle backdrop I have, okay, click back toggle backdrop, we have passed place order. So I think the place order does the same thing. Complete order, let's see, complete order, standard complete order. That go back button basically to set the backdrop and the modal to false. So I think the complete order does the same thing. So let's pass the complete order inside that order summary as a click back. So no longer toggle backdrop, let's say props dot complete order, excuse me. So let's hit save. So as you can see, when you click on the go back, as you can see, okay, it's gone. So our logic working. So whenever we click on the go back, the modal and the backdrop is go at the same time. Okay, so that is done. So my entire idea behind is, so let's say I have add some item, okay, and as you can see, whenever I click on the proceed, it go to the checkout page where it never gets the item, as you can see, undefined, because we are passing that the entire state to the to that component. I think is the checkout component, and here I am not passing that. I used to pass the value from that the burger builder component, but now we have the Redux store. So in the complete order component, I need to now pass that value from that store. Okay, so the same logic here, we need to pass the connect function from the react-redux library, and at the end of the file we have to declare the connect function. Map state to props, take state as an argument, and return a JavaScript object where we will let's see what sort of things we need here. Okay, so this is bunch of form input and props.showModel. Okay, so we need showModel. this will take quite a while, so I will get back whenever I declare all the props map to state. Okay, so I have declared all the properties which I need in this component, and I have mapped to the state. So we need to declare that map state to props inside the connect function. Okay, and now we need to pass those let's see, show model is the same name. Okay, so show model, this was props.show model is declared already. Toggle.sidebar, okay, this props dot, okay, we need to declare this method, and props.ingredients, then okay, that's basically it. Okay, so now the same logic here, so we are passing those state as a props inside our complete order function. Okay, so now all the method we need here. Okay, so as you can see, clicked is basically have a function toggle sidebar. Okay, so that is, I believe, from the burger builder component. As you can see, sidebar clicked is, it takes a navbar handler, which is navbar handler. You can see is setting the value. Okay, toggle sidebar, you go to the reducer. Okay, toggle sidebar, as you can see, toggle sidebar is basically update the show model. So what we will do, we will pass that same action from that component, so we don't need to declare the same logic over again. Okay, so it should be toggle sidebar. So let's create this map dispatch to props, map dispatch to props. Okay, it takes dispatch as an argument, return an object, so it should be toggle sidebar. So toggle sidebar, toggle sidebar arrow function, calling that dispatch function, sending an action, sending an action called toggle sidebar. Okay, and we are passing that that function reference as a toggle sidebar. Okay, then we need that navbar handler. Okay, let's see in the toolbar, navbar handler and navbar handler. Okay, so we have to pass the same function to the complete order. So toggle sidebar, we just have to pass the same function here, toggle sidebar. Toppings is fine, so button, as you can see, props.go back. Okay, props.go back means it will go to that previous. Okay, so as you can see, we are using that link component from the React router. Okay, so we don't need to pass any function, any on-click handler. So we just need to go back to the home page. That all it does. But the continue handler, which I will not go through in this video, so I will just leave it empty. So as you can see, in this component we don't need to declare any function, which okay, let me declare that first. Map dispatch to props. Okay, so my whole idea was, whenever I click on that that confirm button, or the let's update the reload the app. Okay, so whenever I add something and I click on the proceed, I need to, let's say, pass this whole state from the store to that checkout component. That's all the idea here. Okay, so let's see if we getting that value whenever we go to that page. Okay, so reload the app again, and let's add some ingredients. Remember, bacon, cheese and salad. Let's proceed. As you can see, it working with bacon, cheese and salad, we're getting it. But previously I was working with session storage, and that what happened. So whenever I click on the cancel button, as you we will work on this thing, but what used to happen, it used to get the value all right, but let's say whenever I was going to the next page and I will go to the burger builder component. Okay, let's get rid of this thing first. Okay, so whenever I'm clicking on the cancel, okay, complete order, as you can see we have a button here somewhere which is sending to that home page. But here as you can see, whenever I'm coming back to this page, I'm getting this model and the backdrop as a default, because this value was never updated whenever I'm coming back to this page. So we need to update that page, update these things here somehow. So how will you do that? I think it is okay, so whenever I click on that, let's see how we get this model and which button then execute. That's okay, so whenever I click order now, then we get that. So let's find out which orders. Let's say build controls, I guess. Yes, order now. So props.place order. Okay, so we are passing props.place order into that component. Okay, props.place order, props.confirmation. Okay, props.confirmation. Okay, we're passing as okay, so we are passing that. If you go to the build controls, as you can see, order now getting place order as an argument, or as a props. So we need to find place order, so we are passing place order as a complete order. So we should have, okay, we are complete order. Okay, so we are passing the complete order, and it sent then action complete order. Let's go to the reducer. So complete order, it set the place order to let's say right opposite. Okay, so we need to apply or execute the same logic here. So whenever we click on that cancel from the complete order component, so the question is how we can pass that complete order, I mean this function, inside that build order. Okay, so for that let's the complete order, let's say let's pass that. So the idea here is whenever I click on that cancel button, that will happen, that will trigger that update. Okay, so let's say I'm calling that as cancel arrow function dispatch type. Okay, we need to call that same logic here, which is complete order. All right, so complete order, and we need to pass the cancel reference to that button handler. Let's call it on click event handler this dot props dot cancel. At this point it should be working. Let's load the app. getting some ingredients, proceed, and as you can see it doesn't appear anymore. Okay, so the problem I was facing, as you can see, whenever I go to the checkout component, the checkout page, so when I click cancel it does come back, but whenever I used to as you can see, I have another navigation bar here. So let's say I'm not going there with the button, I'm going manually by clicking here. As you can, it's still working here, but when I used to come back to the main component, like the burger builder component, and my data was lost. Because why? I was basically using the window.location href that method, and I was hard coding coming back to that to this burger builder component. I wasn't using the link, okay, but the link also will re-render the component, but at this point it doesn't basically reload the entire apps. Okay, let's say it doesn't clear the entire state from a reducer. Okay, so that in that way, with using reducer, my goal here is completed. So even though I go back and forth, doesn't matter how many times, I can still sustain those data I needed. Okay, so that's how using Redux in my application that basically solved the problem. Okay, so hang on a second, it should not come. Okay, let's go with that, proceed. Okay, oh yeah, so even though we go back again, click cancel, it doesn't come again. Okay, so that's how our problem solved. Okay, and this is how you basically use Redux in your application. Okay, quite straightforward, but first you need to understand the basics of Redux, how Redux will understand behind the scene. So what is the Redux store and reducer action? If you know all that, and you need to also learn the let's say the helper method or helper function that from react-redux library, how we can connect Redux with our React application, and how we can pass the reference or the action, so we can update and state, and how we can get the state from our store. So we know all that, then working with Redux is very straightforward and simple. Okay, and this video also went too much longer, so at this point I think you got the general idea how we can work with Redux. And if you think the video was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe if you like, and if you have any question, please write them in the comment section below, and I will try my best to answer them. Okay, till then, keep learning, keep coding, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.